Now you're an expert at shell in the round, so let's make the flapper hat. Ciao friends, Beth with Thimblehooks, and today is the cool shell or fan in the round flapper hat. Remember yesterday you were supposed to be practicing your shell in the round stitch, so now you've got that. Now that you've got this mastered, we can make a really cool hat. And I am going to use, Derek calls this my orange sherbet hat because first time I made it, it was orange, but we're not going to use orange today. I'm all out of that one. I don't have, well, I'm not out. I have a teeny bit left, but I don't have enough. So I'm going to use my cupcake, lime meringue cupcake, and this one is called apple picking, and I just really, really love this green right in here. So I'm going to use this one today. So again, that was Lion Brand's cupcake. Oh, this is my cream, cookies and cream. Oh, I love my hook. Okay, my 5.5 furls I'm going to use today. So we're going to do a magic circle or magic ring. If you're unfamiliar with the magic circle, I have a tutorial on that that only lasts a couple of minutes. Show you how to do it really easy way. And now we have our ring. I want to put 8 single crochets in my ring, and of course, as always, especially when I'm working in the round and when I'm showing people things, I like to mark the first stitch. There's 1, and there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So there's our 8. We'll tighten this up a little bit. Now we're going to work into this first one that's marked with, we're going to do an increase, so it is 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So there's our first stitch and our second stitch. 1, 2. In the same stitch, go back and mark my first one. So there's 2. We're going to increase all the way around, so it ends up being 16 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, and there's our last stitch. So there's our increase all the way around up to 16. So that's round 2. Round 2. Round 3 is another increase. We're going to do a single crochet, and then we do 2 in the next, and then a single, and then 2 singles in the same stitch. So that's the sequence all the way around. A single crochet, and then 2 single crochets in the same stitch. With my last 2 stitches, the first one gets a single crochet, the second one gets 2. So now we have just increased round 3 up to 24. So I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. With my round 3, we're going to increase to 30. Not the 32. We're going to increase to 30, so I'm going to change it up just a little bit here. So we're going to do a single crochet. There's our first one. And of course I'm going to mark my stitch. And the first 3 stitches of this round are actually going to be single crochets. So there's a 1 and a 2 and 3. Then we do our increase. 1, 2. Again, same sequence all the way around. 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 in the same stitch. 3 and 2 in the same stitch. Now I am to my last 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I am, so that means we did it right. Hooray! The first 3 are going to be single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. and the last one gets an increase, so there's 2 single crochets in that stitch. And that was round 4. So we're just making a circle. Alright, now we're going to increase to the next round, which is round 5 is going to increase to 36. We're going to do 2 single crochets in the very first stitch that's marked for our increase. So I'm going to go back. This one, mark you. So that was our increase. There's 2 in the first one, and then we're going to do 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then an increase, 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and the next 4 are their own little single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the increase, 1, 2, and our last 4 stitches get a single crochet each. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there we go, we've increased up to 36. We're going to do another increase and get to 42. So this next round is round 6. There's our first single crochet. We make a total of 5 at the beginning here. So there was 1, here's 2, here's 3, 4, and 5. And then the increase is 2 single crochets and then 2 in the very last stitch for our increase. And that is the last 2 stitches of round 6. So we increased to 42 stitches here. We're going to do another increase, another round of increase. We're going to go to round 7. We're on round 7 now starting, and this one is 2 single crochets in the very first stitch. And stitch marker on that first one. And put a second one in that very first stitch from the previous round, and now 6. So you can see the sequence that's going on there. Previous row was 5 single crochets, this one is 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 single crochets in that 7th stitch for the increase, all the way around again. I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. And here's my last sequence. So there's 2 single crochets in this stitch, and the last 6 each get a single crochet. Easy peasy. These increases are so simple. And we just increased up to 48. Remember, we're going all the way to 72. So we only have a couple more rounds before we get, oh no, and I have it not. We only have a couple more rounds before we get all of our increases done, and then we can start working on the shell or the fan stitch part. But we have a couple more to do. So we're going to start working on round 8. Click, round 8. And round 8, we're going to increase up to 54, and I bet you can figure out that we have to single crochet 7 and then do our increase. The previous row was 6, or round was 6, so this one is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and an increase. There's 2 in that stitch. Again, all the way around, same pattern, same sequence. So 7 single crochets and then an increase. And here's my last sequence, 7 single crochets in a row. And the last one gets 2, because that's our increase. So we just keep making a circle that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that was round 8. We've increased to 54, so we're going to move on to round 9. So we'll be increasing to 60, so in the very first stitch, 2 single crochets. We're starting with the increase on this round. So there's the first one and there's the second one. Now I want to do 8 single crochets. That was probably pretty obvious. I bet everybody got that pretty quick. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 2 for the increase all the way around back to the stitch marker. And there's our last sequence. Going to be 2 single crochets for an increase, and then the final 8 stitches each get 1 single crochet. And 8. There you go. There ends round 9. Round 10. Another increase. We're going up to 66. This was an increase up to 60. We're going up to 66. So we start with 9 single crochets and then an increase. So there's our first one. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then our increase with 2 single crochets in that 10th stitch. All the way around, folks. I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. Right, there's our last sequence. 9 single crochets in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 2 in the last stitch for our increase. And that was round 10. It was an increase to 66. We need to increase to 72. So round 11 is our increase to 72. Hooray! Now we get to start on the fan. One more round before we get to start on the fan. So round 11 starts with the increase. We're going to do 2 single crochets in that very first stitch. And I always mark my stitches, especially in the round. And a second one. And now it's 10 is after the increase. So 10 single crochets in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then an increase of 2 single crochets in that 11th stitch, and that's the same sequence all the way around. Meet you back at the stitch marker. And here's my last sequence on round 11. 2 single crochets for an increase in this stitch, and the last 10 stitches are single crochets. So easy peasy. And there's the last one. So what we've done is this part right in here. You can tell that this doesn't have anything to do with a fan stitch. It's just the single crochets in the making the very top of the hat. Now we get to start working on the shell or the fan right here. So I'll start on, this will be round 12. And we are going to make 11 rounds of shell. The sequence is very easy. Remember, we learned that yesterday. If you practiced, then this will be super simple. Do a single crochet in the first stitch and move your stitch marker. Skip 2 and 5 double crochets in that third stitch there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip 2 single crochet. Skip 2, whoopsie. There we go. Skip 2, 5 double crochets in the third stitch. Four and 5. Skip 2 and a single crochet. That is the sequence all the way around till we get to this very last stitch, and we start to change rounds, and I will show you the tricks again just in case you forgot from yesterday. 4 and 5. Now we should have 2 stitches left, and we do, so that means I did it right. Yay! We gotta skip these 2 just like normal. In between everything we're skipping 2, and we go back to this very first marked stitch. We are going to do a slip stitch so that we can start the next round. Chain 1. That doesn't count as anything, it's just giving me a little bit of height. And then we're going to put 3 double crochets into this same stitch that's marked with my blue marker here, which is half of a fan, half of a shell. So there's half. We'll finish the other half of it on our way around. So now we start that same sequence again. I'm going to leave this stitch marker here because we need to finish this one in a little bit. So what we're going to do is, since this is where we were marked, right here, we're going to skip this one, skip this one. When we're on a peak, it's a single crochet. Alright, skip 2, we're in the valley. And we're going to do that all the way around, and I will meet you back at the stitch marker and show you how to finish off our original half of a shell. Alright, here's my last peak, so we're going to skip, skip. There's the last peak, so that's a single crochet. And now we're back to our half of a fan. So we want to put the last 2 double crochets into this same stitch that's marked with my blue. So we're going to do 2 single crochets to finish out our 5, because remember we started with 3. 2 double crochets into that stitch. We're finishing that shell or that fan, and now just like you would at any other peak, this very first stitch right here that we did in this round is going to get the single crochet. Now I move my stitch marker to that stitch because that is technically the first stitch of this round, and we're going to skip 2, and we're in a valley. So remember, single crochet, and we're in a valley, so that means we did it right. 5 double crochets. And 5. skip 2, go to the peak, and the peaks always get a single crochet. The valleys get double crochets. So that was that. We want to do a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So a total of 11 rounds, and I will meet you back here, right up in here, and we'll finish round 11 together. And this is my last 2 stitches of this round, which I believe this is my 10th round of shells. So remember, we have to finish this one off. It has 3 double crochets in it already. We need 2 more to finish our fan or our shell of 5. So there's 2 more, and in that very first stitch that we made in this round, it gets a single crochet. And we will be starting round 11 of our shells. So that was the first stitch, it's a single crochet. So we skip 2 and we're going back down into a valley, so that means it is 5 double crochets in that same stitch. Skip 2, single crochet at the peak. Skip 2, 5 double crochets in the valley. If you remember that, this is super easy. And it's just such a fun stitch. Gives a little bit of texture, it looks cute, and it's really simple. Here's my last shell. 4 and 5. At this point you have 2 choices, because we did our 11 rounds here, 11 rounds of shell. At this point you have 2 choices. You can do like I did on this hat, where I made 1 more row, so there was 12 rounds completely of shell stitch and then a finish edge, or you can start with the finish edge of 4 rounds of single crochet here, making the 12th round. Instead of adding a 12th round of a shell stitch, we put in 4 rounds of single crochet, and then we'll do the finishing edge. They both have the same very last round, or the very last round is exactly the same on both of these. Just this 12th round of texture here is in, this one is a shell stitch right here, and this one is 4 single crochets, all 4 rounds of single crochet all the way around. So it's your choice. I think they both look great, so I decided to show both. So we're going to do 1 round of our single crochets, since we've done so many fans together, or so many shells together. Probably got that down pat. So if you're going to do another round of those, this would be the time where you'd start with the slip stitch, chain 1, and then do your half a fan of 3 double crochets. But we're just going to do single crochets all the way around, 1 time, and then I will show you what my finishing edge is. So this is easy peasy. You're just going to have 72 single crochets, 1 in every stitch, peaks and valleys all the way through. Every stitch will get a single crochet. Just starts to finish off the edge a little bit nicer. All the way back to the stitch marker. Told you this was super easy. So I will meet you back at my marker in just a moment. Alright, we only have a couple stitches left, and we're on our very, very last round. So just 1 single crochet all the way around back to our stitch marker, and then the way that I ended this one, probably can't see it very well. Right here has a little bit of a ridge to it. It's super cute, and it's a really, really, really easy stitch. So we're going to do that all the way around, and then we get to finish off when we're done. So what we're going to do here on the first one is a slip stitch and a chain 1. And I'm going to mark my slip stitch so I know when to stop. Next stitch, slip stitch and a chain 1 all the way around. It makes a really cute little zigzag pattern that I like. And here's the last couple stitches with my slip stitch and a chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1, and then into our marked stitch we'll just do a slip stitch and finish off our super cute shell in the round flapper hat. I'm going to take this out because it's making noise. I don't like it. But isn't that adorable? I just love it. Remember, there's 2 ways you can finish it. Like this, just the fan or the shell stitch and then a finish edge, or you can finish it off with 4 rounds of single crochet and then your finish edge. Either way ends up being about the same size. I love this hat. I hope you like it too. It works up really fast. It's very, very soft and it's super cute. So thanks for stopping by. Thank you for supporting my small business. Please subscribe to Thimblehooks and stop back soon. I've got some more really fun stuff coming up. Thanks. Bye. Like my hat?
I do like your